All right, so this is our first plasma cutting video for running the CNC plasma cutter, and it's about determining whether or not the image that you're looking at is appropriate for plasma cutting. Some of the images that people want to cut don't actually work on the plasma cutter, so we're just going to give you a brief introduction on what that looks like. So let's look at this image here. This is a good example of positive and negative space. In our metal shop, positive space would be anything that is actually metal. So if we look at this image and we were to treat the black as positive space, then that means the black would be metal. The plasma cutter would come along and cut on this line, and the centerpiece would fall out, and you would pick up your project and it would be the black part. And it sort of looks like two human faces looking at each other. Now, if you wanted to treat the white part as the positive space, and that the black was just negative like a background, then if we were to plasma cut this and you picked up your project, it would be the white part, that would be metal, and it would seem like you have something along the lines of a vase or a candle holder or something like that. So you have to decide what's going to be positive and what's going to be negative space on your image before you can determine whether or not it's appropriate for plasma cutting. Which color is going to be metal and which color is going to be empty space. And that's something that you have to decide. So once you've decided that, let's take a look and see what kinds of problems occur if you have positive and negative space and there's some trapped positive and negative space. So taking a look at stencil letters can help us understand this. So if we take a look at these stencil letters here, some of these letters have a bit of an issue. For instance, the letter A has trapped negative space right in there. And it would be trapped negative space if we wanted the letter A to be black, the black part to be metal. So if this was metal, then you'd have some trapped negative space, which there's other letters like that. Right here, you have some trapped space in here. The G almost does, but it's open. And we've got the letter O, P, Q, R. So all those letters that have this trapped white space in here could have a potential problem with plasma cutting. If you wanted like I said earlier, the black part to be metal, then there's no problem with any of these letters because the machine will just come along and cut these letters and you pick up your black letter and walk away and it'll all come with you. Whereas if you wanted, let's just say for the letter O, if you wanted a letter O to be cut out of your project, so therefore the letter O, the black part is negative space and the white part is positive, the white part is metal, that's where we run into problems because when you pick up your project, the center part of your O is not connected to the outside of your project and it'll fall out. I'll give you another example here that shows this. So if we look at this image here, we can see that if the black was supposed to be positive space, which means the black is going to be metal, then the machine's going to come along and it's going to cut the L out. It's going to cut this part of the O and the outer part of the O and the V and the E, and then it's going to cut all the way around the outside of this entire project and it'll be complete. It'll probably also cut out these little white sections here and any of this negative space here. Okay, so everything seems fine until you pick up your project off of the machine and this O here, this black piece of metal stays behind. Now you don't have something that has L-O-V-E, it has L, V, and E, and this is just a hole. So what we would need to do is have something that is more like a stencil letter to connect this black centerpiece to the outer black metal. So going back to the stencil letters, we can see that's why we have stencil letters, because in this case the letter O is actually an illusion. It's made up of two brackets that look like a letter O, but in fact there's still a tab of metal connecting the inside negative space to the outside. Okay, so sorry, the inside in this case would be positive space, the black would be negative, the metal is connected to the metal of the rest of the project. So going back to the bird image, that's all we need is some tabs drawn in here. So in an upcoming video, we're going to show you how do you take an image and make it plasma cut appropriate by drawing in some tabs.